Going on, everybody? It is Wednesday, August 30th. This is Rally Towel Sports. We've got a great episode of Line to Gain for you tonight. Shooting from the hip, you've got Todd, you've got Aaron, and you've got myself, Corey. We're going to talk all the latest in the NFL and, of course, the return of number 9. Let's get it popping. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Line to Gain. We just got ear fucked by Zed's Dead, apparently, and I hope you guys enjoyed that. So, welcome. We've got the wrong ticker rolling at the bottom. This is not Dingers, Dunks, and Drives. Let me change that here. We're shooting from the hip tonight, boys. We are on the cusp of NFL football. It's so close you can almost taste it. I'm reminded of what was it? The Ben? No, it wasn't the Ben show. What was that? The mayor of Titty City. What was that?
Ben show.
The Ben show. Yeah, so close I can almost smell them. Yeah, that I'm reminded of that skit there. But what the fuck?
I don't know.
Is up,
I don't know
guys?
how the weather was for you guys here today, but it was brisk.
Felt like football.
I know. I walked outside and I could just smell pigskin. Like you could feel
it was nice.
in the air. Yeah.
It's nice.
I'm ready to go, dude.
We got a heat wave coming to kind of just say psych to you, but
Same
wouldn't have it any other way. Kind of gets the mind right with the crisp weather, but then we have beautiful weather for when football actually happens.
That's right.
Wouldn't have it any other way. So some recent news in the NFL, boys. Jonathan Taylor staying with the Indianapolis Colts as of now, I guess.
Pup list, right? That's where they're throwing him for the time being.
So first 4 games, I believe, is it?
Yeah. So I don't know if you guys followed along today with. So there were 2 teams that were listed as putting out offers. The first being the Miami Dolphins. We heard about that earlier in the let's trade Jonathan Taylor saga, and then the second one being the Green Bay Packers. And the thing that stuck out to me the most was that the first offer for Jonathan Taylor, the Colts asked for Jalen Waddle in return.
The Colts that's just Jim Irsay smoking crack again, dude.
That's
I don't know.
insanity.
So it's something that I've learned about Jim Irsay from just following this fiasco over the last, I don't know, let's call it a month now. Jim Irsay doesn't do business during business hours. It's after 2 a.m. He's got his nice shimmer on. I think we all know what I'm talking about, the shimmer that you get. And then he starts thinking, what can I do to get a championship? Well, Jonathan Taylor's our best player. Let's go get Jalen Waddle. And then it's a no. And he's like, oh, give me a first round pick.
There 2 things can't be true. I don't value Jonathan Taylor to pay him, and I need a first-round pick in return for him.
Right.
Those two cannot coexist together.
No, I think that's the part that in general business that we know and we learn is like if you're saying that something is not of value to let's call it the Colts your asset, then you don't put that thing out in a world to be taken from you and say, I don't want this thing, but I want a huge return on investment in it. That's not how business works. And any organization will tell the Colts to go fuck themselves.
Not only that, I'm not willing to pay you. I'm not willing to pay you what I want traded back for, you know.
So I think for me, this was all just fucking smoke and mirrors from the Colts. I mean,
it's just smoke, actually, and it's crack.
And Chris Ballard came up and said, well, I don't know if you guys remember last year, but there was a pretty big running back trade. Yeah, that's Christian McCaffrey. That's a guy that's been to multiple Pro Bowls. That's not a guy. Jonathan Taylor has, and I'm not taking what Jonathan Taylor has done away from him, but he's really only had one good year, right? Correct me if I'm wrong.
So since 2020, he's like top 5 in yards.
And how many weeks did he play last year?
Yeah, no, fair argument. I think he's got over those seasons, he's got over like 3,300 yards, I think, on the ground, which, you know, I would say Jonathan Taylor is easily a top 5 back. But I think what this really comes back to is everything that we've been talking about on this program is, and Aaron, I'll let you jump in with the kind of I don't know. I want to dive into that, but the running back is not an important position in today's NFL. It's not. And that's why the request for Jalen Waddle in return for Jonathan Taylor is laughable. Because while Jonathan Taylor is undoubtedly higher in the rankings of his position versus that of Jalen Waddle, the value that Jalen Waddle brings to that organization versus what Jonathan Taylor could bring to that organization are insanely different. I think the gap there is even larger than where Jalen Waddle stacks up as a wide receiver than where Jonathan Taylor stacks up as a running back. Sure. That's fucking bananas to me that was where they were at. And yeah, as you said, just don't burn your fingers on the hot glass, Jim Irsay, but just don't get a hold of some wrong stuff, man. We would hate to lose you that way. Absolute fucking insanity. So Jonathan Taylor, top 5. I heard you. I saw you kind of like.
I just like. I mean, if you really want to spell it out, it's all right. Yes. Derrick Henry, Chubb.
You think Derrick Henry's number 1 still?
He's given me no other reason to prove it otherwise. I mean, what? Jonathan Taylor, yeah, he had 1,800 yards in 2021. You know, he had 861 last year. Of course, only played 11 games, and you know, his rookie year about 1,100. Like, yeah, those are good numbers. Derrick Henry has been doing it very, very consistently, much more consistently. I'd absolutely take Nick Chubb over him. I would take Christian McCaffrey over him. I would take Eckler over him. You know, then you're in the Saquon Barkley territory. Like, yeah, he is a legitimate game changer without a doubt. But this idea that this is like, I'm sorry, I'm so fucking bored with this story, guys. I got to be honest.
Is it because you're just like Jonathan Taylor isn't that good of a player?
No, it's not because Jonathan Taylor isn't that good of a player. It's because the Colts don't deserve this amount of attention.
Yeah.
That's really what it comes down to me. Like, I get it. There's nothing else.
It's just interesting coming from a Browns fan that was like the Browns were all over ESPN for like 2.5 years.
I have no control over the schedule. I don't know what you want me to do about that. You know, you want me to call fucking what's his name, Robert Iger, and see what's going on over there.
The mouse. You have to call the mouse. You know who it is.
Do you think I wanted that much coverage? I hate it. I mean, here's the thing, dude. It's the Colts aren't going anywhere this year. I think, and if they do, it's because of how bad their division is, and somehow they win that division. Maybe Anthony Richardson shows up and is really just, you know, this Cam Newton comparison we keep hearing about in his rookie year, which I pointed out doing our over-unders. Mm-hmm. You know, they went 8-9. It was a good season, but it was like, if that's the ceiling, it's not like it's, you know, this amazing Colt season that we're about to see. The other part of it too is it's like there's just nothing else to talk about. And how much of this conversation is driven by what people want to know for fantasy and how much people actually care. You know what I mean? I'm being dead serious though.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. I think most people that are following football, you know, everybody follows team first, right? But second for most football fans is what I want to win money, right? Most of us play fantasy football, right? And
I'm literally 13 minutes and 15 seconds away from entering a draft.
Yeah. So
That's insane.
Nobody says, "Oh, I'm going to spend 150. I'm going to give away $150 or $100 or $20 this year." No, you want to fucking get your money back and you want to double it up, right? It's the same reason you bet on games or you bet on player props, whatever. So yeah, absolutely. There are a lot of people that want to draft Jonathan Taylor or have drafted Jonathan Taylor, and I want to be like, all right, I want to know where he's going to land, because if he ends up, let's say he does end up in Green Bay, right? And it's, part of the deal that Green Bay had was relieving a running back. The speculation was that the Colts were asking for A.J. Dillon in return for Jonathan Taylor, plus some picks on top of that. So, I mean,
depending on where the picks land, I would do that if I'm Green Bay. I think
it was. I believe it was 3 picks.
I'd throw it in there.
But yeah, everybody wants to know if they're going to win money or not. That's the driving force. So yeah, Aaron, you're absolutely right. I think it's just, there's not a lot else to talk about in football right now. And this is a thing that you can get on Twitter or in any social media and be like, oh, this really sucks for that guy. And Jim Irsay is an easy target to just laugh at too, a lot of the time.
So speaking of fantasy, we've got some people coming into the stream here tonight. We want to thank you guys for dropping in and hanging out with us. Just a quick thing to put out to everybody. I want you to jump into the chat. Tell us the craziest punishment that you've ever seen for a fantasy football league. Whoever comes in last, I want to see them dropped into the chat. See those popping out there. Again, we appreciate you guys coming by tonight.
Any fantasy questions or anything you got too, or anything like that, drop them in the chat. Let's have fun tonight.
Absolutely. A little town hall session here on this Wednesday evening. But yeah, I want to hear craziest fantasy punishments for the loser.
I like the idea of last place having to go to like an open mic and do stand up.
Oh, that's really good.
God, that's so brutal.
Is it so?
Yeah. Well, have you guys ever watched Kill Tony before?
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Yeah. So those guys get 60 seconds and they.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. And
most of them prepare that minute. And when it's quiet, even behind the screen, I'm very uncomfortable watching someone just get fucking roasted by successful comedians or actors or whomever it may be.
I think there's a big difference between doing stand-up in front of professional comedians and going to the local open mic.
I agree. I agree with you.
But bowling alley or some shit.
Silence in the room is silence in the room, though. Right.
Yeah, we got one.
You go up there and you just fudge the bucket and you're like, oh God, this is horrible. I like to just stay in Waffle House for 24 hours.
That's a good one. That's honestly to me, like
we did that one. We did the Waffle House one in my fantasy football league. He had to go in there for 24 hours. Every waffle he ate was an hour off. It was pretty amazing. He went in at like 5 a.m. and got out at like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, something like that.
That's a grown man.
So we got 13 waffles.
He went to town, man. He went to town. Oh, and we made a concession that an order of hash browns was like a half hour or something like that. Like we made
just the palate.
Yeah, absolutely. So we got one coming into the chat here from Charles. Shout out to you, Charles. What's up, buddy? I saw the meme of the guy who had to take 7 consecutive flights over 48 hours with a shirt that said, "Ask me about my family."
That's so brutal.
So here's the thing. Like that's great. But the perfect fan, like whether it be the open mic or the Waffle House, it can't cost too much money.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry. I'm like, when we first started doing this one league I'm in, somebody suggested the idea of like the loser has to get a tattoo. And I'm like, I'm just not going to play. Like, I'm not playing for those stakes.
Nope.
Like that's stupid. And obviously it immediately got voted down, but like point being is it has to be fun enough to where like I've seen the one where there's like a rotation of like a license plate bracket on the back of your car that's like, I suck at fantasy football. Like that's the kind of stuff that's really fun. Something that costs, even the Waffle House one, like
it's not
doesn't cost. It's not that bad. Cause literally you could sit there for 24 hours and spend $0, just drink coffee like a goth kid at Denny's. And
what a lifestyle.
And that's about it. So to me, it's kind of the same thing of like a really good prank is the one that is not only funny, but is somewhat harmless,
So this one would have to be with like, you would have to have like a USGA handicap to do this, but I've seen ones where like guys that are, they're somewhat decent golfers, but nowhere near pro level. They would have to go and compete at a U.S. Open qualifier event and post their score on social media. And they're like 137 or something. Like, it's just stupid shit like that.
Can you imagine being the guy paired with him? You're just hoping to make the Corn Ferry Tour, and they're like, "This is Josh. He came in last this year because he decided, I'm going to take Jonathan Taylor in the second round."
What's the worst you guys have seen? What's the worst that you've been aware of?
I've seen.
Well, Todd, as someone who has never finished in last place, let's knock on some wood.
Let's get there. Fortunately, I have not either. This is boys. This is year 13 of fantasy football for me.
Wow, I've seen one where a bunch of guys from our high school, Todd, they did one where the loser has to get a like studio photos of themselves in the theme of every month, and they give every member a calendar.
That's
so like
sick.
Yeah, it's like Christmas, they dressed up as Santa, and Valentine's Day, Cupid, or for February rather, it's Cupid, and it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Cool.
That's
cool.
Yeah.
We did one year, and I feel bad for the kid who lost because it kind of fizzled out after year one. But we had like a big party, and the loser had to dress up like a butler and like give everyone it'd be like, "Butler boy, I need a beer over here." And
so
that
was the asshole.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, what's that?
He was the asshole.
Yeah, exactly. So he like wore like a shitty tux and had to basically serve us beers all night. That was pretty good. I had a great time.
Charles was the one saying we had a golden plunger. You had to walk into B-dubs with it held above your head for the draft. That's a pretty good one. Anything cheap and embarrassing.
So there was one I heard, and it was on a fantasy football podcast, and I don't remember which one. It was either the Ringer or the Fantasy Footballers, but I heard them talking about it where it was like the loser has to dump 12 glasses of water on themselves before the draft and then do the draft in a turtleneck.
Has to dump 12 glasses of water on themselves.
And then immediately put a turtleneck on top.
So what is
awful?
So the punishment is you have to do the draft while soaking wet wearing a turtleneck.
What is the significance of the turtleneck? I'm gapping here.
I mean, I think blocking
it's
all of the moisture in.
You got to think your neck down, just soaked in water.
Yeah,
saturated.
Probably a little itchy. The point being is you're uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It depends on where you're at. You know what I mean?
Yeah, make them sit outside. I think the worst that I've had was the first couple years I was in a league. There was a brony shirt that went around. My Little Pony fans as adults. It was a pink brony shirt, and you had to wear it when we drafted.
Wait. Don't just glaze over bronies like we all know. Explain what is a brony?
Oh,
So
I don't.
So are you
My
familiar
Little
with the
Brony?
show My Little Pony?
Okay. My daughters have the toys.
Yeah. So
I didn't know it was a show. I didn't know it was a show.
There are adult men that call themselves bronies that like the show,
and it's like unironic.
Yeah,
they're seriously interested in this program.
They exist. Yeah, They exist. There are similar to a Comic Con. There is a brony con where all these guys get together and cosplay, et cetera, et cetera.
And before you go, I don't believe that those humans exist. I just point out Disney adults?
Yeah. The first one seems a little weirder still, though.
For sure. But they all exist in the same arena.
Yeah.
Yeah, one's just way further. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're in the nosebleeds, but it's in the arena.
So there was
not courtside like the Disney adults.
There was a pink brony shirt that was passed around, and then unfortunately, so it got ruined like the second or third year that I was in the league, so it's no longer a thing. So
too much jizz.
Yeah. Wore it to a furry convention. Things got a little off.
It cracked.
Yeah. It's
oh my God.
Yeah. So I think that's the worst, because the looks that you get from people that understand what that is as you're walking through a B-dubs or, insert wing restaurant here, and people just being like, what a fucking perv. And 1 year is my brother-in-law, and he's equal to my size, and just watching someone that big walk around in a large pink brony shirt was good.
Yeah.
It was
one I've seen in the wild, obviously not my league, but just like driving and you're at like a major intersection, there's someone at the corner with a sign that's like, I suck at fantasy football, wearing like a ballerina outfit and stuff. Like that to me is harmless fun. I'm all about fantasy punishment that is harmless fun. The second it's like even the flight one where I'm sorry. I'd just be like, well, I'm just out of the league, guys. I'm sorry. I'm not dropping $1,800.
Sorry.
I wonder if there's stipulations on how long the flight had to be. You know what I mean? If you could get like an Allegiant flight or something for $50
and just hold standby.
Just a bunch of Spirit standby flights.
Like what if you got jobs and kids and like life? You know what I mean? Like a loser punishment should last no more than 24 hours. So like the Waffle House one is okay. Good, but even that is, you gotta plan that out a little bit. It's also funny. I kind of feel bad for the workers, but I'm sure it's probably fun for them if you're like, hey, I'm sure you guys get this all the time, and they're like, what are you talking about?
So I talked to my buddy about it, and he had actually mentioned that, like, he's just like, I became friends with a lot of those people. Like,
I bet,
not like stay in touch, but like they were amicable the entire time, and they thought it was hilarious, and it was like he did it on like a Tuesday, you know what I mean? Right. Like just in the middle of the week, to where it was like no chance of like a world star event occurring in that restaurant at that time. Or at least lower. I shouldn't say no. It's never zero, but
hey, football loser, we're gonna go out back and smoke a bowl. He's like, oh, yeah, I got to get down this 8th waffle.
It's Corey, but if you could just
whatever. Hey, Romo, what's
oh shit. All right. So other news that had happened, Trey Lance traded to the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, more like Trade Lance, am I right, boys?
So nice one. Better situation for him there in Dallas, Aaron?
Who gives a shit? Like straight up, like even Mike McCarthy.
All right, guys, it's been a good show.
No. But the Cowboys have literally said they're like, he is not in our plans for this year. Like, yeah. Like, don't get me wrong. I saw the comparison on Twitter, which makes a ton of sense. Where they're like, I don't understand the Trey Lance trade, and they're like, have you ever just been to Costco and bought something that's 90% off because it's 90% off?
Yeah,
like that's what the Cowboys did, and I get it.
I don't
like,
need sweatpants, but they're $4.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. You're like, exactly, BOGO. I didn't even need one.
You always walk by the clearance rack, no matter where you are. You always just take a little peek in there, see what's going on.
Yeah, you always take a peek, and I don't blame them for doing it. There's nothing wrong with it. Again, you're buying a distressed asset for pennies on the dollar. There's a reason that Trey Lance was drafted where he was, but I'm always going to come back to the stat of Tom Brady threw more passes last year than Trey Lance did in high school, college, and his pros. Is he he's not even Jake Locker. He's an athlete who, came into the league to play quarterback. Minnesota offered him a scholarship, but he went to North Dakota State because he wanted to play quarterback. Obviously, the unfortunate thing is, with this COVID season in college, but guys, the guy just hasn't had the reps, and he's never going to get them. That's the way I look at it. He's playing the wrong position.
I think this is like similar to. It's just a nice having somebody there, because Dak Prescott, I feel like, gets injured almost every single season. I think this is a good opportunity for Trey to eventually get some field time in a situation that isn't super stressful. There's not a ton of pressure on Trey Lance to be the guy in this situation. All that pressure has stayed with him on the West Coast and has since moved on, and he's got a good opportunity for him going forward. I've just started in my dynasty draft, rookie only, 3 rounds. Okay. Who do you think the first 2 picks were off the board? Rookies only.
Bijan and Gibbs.
Correct. Oh, now it's my pick. Oh shit, Anthony Richardson went. No, dude, the first fucking few just rolled right through. I got Zay Flowers, Dalton Kincaid, Zach Charbonnet on the table right now.
What's your tight end situation?
I've got Kyle Pitts and Okonkwo. I don't know if
And
investing
what's your wide receiver situation?
I'm pretty stacked at wide receiver, and I got
I
Devontae Smith,
I like Kincaid a lot.
especially in that offense.
Yep.
Yeah, but that's why I'm asking what you have at tight end, because
Not a lot.
Yeah.
rookies
You have no idea
rarely
what
come
Pitts
in
is
and
I don't know what Kyle Pitts is going to be. I'll be
I'd take
very
Kincaid.
young. I
I'd
think I'm
take
going
Kincaid.
to. I think I'm going to, and then I think I'm gonna. I got another pick, one more pick in this draft.
You know
And
what's something
I'm thinking CJ Stroud. I think I'm going to pull the trigger on CJ Stroud.
That's fine.
What do you think about him? What do you think about his preseason? That he is,
I think
right?
he is playing exactly like a number 2 overall pick that got drafted by a bad team. A lot of times some of the best quarterbacks actually come out of the fact that, let's face it, if you're the best quarterback in the draft, by design, you're not going to a good team.
Sure.
For a dynasty draft, I'm not worried about that because I don't need to play him right now. Are you doing, can you play 2 quarterbacks? Is it good? I fucking hate that shit.
Yeah. Yeah. I think Bobby's in one of those leagues.
Despise it.
It's 3
Won't do it,
fellas.
You can play 3 quarterbacks?
Yes, I'm in the league too.
Won't do it. Refuse.
What?
3 quarterbacks.
What the fuck?
How many teams?
10. It gets wild.
So what do you do during the bye week? Eat it?
Well, no, it's 2 quarterbacks with a super flex. Isn't that right?
No, it's one. It's a super flex. It's OPs instead of flex. Right, so that you have 2 OPs instead of 2 flex spots. So those OPs can be quarterbacks. So it's 1 quarterback and then 2 OPs.
Okay, which is offensive player.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
so offensive player would be quarterback.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah. Or you
unless you're on a bye week.
Yeah, yeah. You kind of just stack. You just have to stack. You have to stack a couple wide receivers and then a couple of running backs that you can. Really, the name of that league is just winning the bye weeks, right? So, like, I have my 3 quarterbacks are Justin Herbert, Aaron Rodgers, and Jordan Love. So by week 8, all my buys will be done for my quarterbacks. So I should be smooth sailing for the rest of the year, barring that the Jets don't somehow go like 13-4 and Aaron Rodgers sits out, right? So I don't have to really worry.
I think you'll be okay.
Yeah. So like it's you just have to play bye weeks in that league. I've won that league twice, and I do the same thing. I just try to draft the best available with the earliest bye week, because I can rough it through the first quarter of the season, and then the last 3 quarters of the season, I usually maybe lose once or twice.
Tez, thanks for liking the stream, man.
I don't want to fantasy shame, but I can't do that. I used to actually think
it's different.
The only time I think 2 quarterbacks is acceptable is if you're playing in a 10 or less league, because then it's just, all you need are 10, fine. Let's make the draft a little bit more. But the idea of like offensive player that's not going to be a quarterback, like, what is that? When is that used? 2% of the time, and it's just because of a bye week?
Yeah, normally.
Yeah.
Or if I've seen the strategy in the league and it's worked out a time or two, like there was a guy that plays in the league that he drafted Christian McCaffrey and Derrick Henry back to back. That worked out for him very, very well. Right. So you get the 2 best players at that specific position, and then you sacrifice a quarterback spot.
Yeah, but the problem with that is the name of the game. And it's kind of the reason why you're seeing, I remember 10 years ago, the first round was, in a 12-team league, 10 running backs, maybe 2 receivers, because it was like you got to get your running backs. Running backs are so important for fantasy football. It's kind of switching a little bit. And part of the reason for that is there is a much more expected health benefit to taking a wide receiver over a running back. So, yeah, I get take McCaffrey, take Henry. That's great. But the quarterback is the most protected position in sports, whether it be by his own offensive line or even the refs. So it's like, I'm gambling on the fact that there's a better chance that my quarterbacks are going to stay healthy. You know what I mean?
Sure. I just like it because you take every logic that you use in fantasy football and you just fucking throw it in a garbage bin, and you just draft based on what the best available quarterback is for the first 4 rounds. And then it's
all right.
It's fun.
So I got 2 picks, then me coming up here, boys. On the board currently, we got Michael Mayer, Again, this is a dynasty league. This is the third year we're doing it.
And you're in round 2.
We're in round 2. Michael Mayer on the board. Actually, Michael Mayer is off the board, so we are on deck. It's Bryce Young, Kendre Miller, Jonathan Mingo, CJ Stroud, Tank Bigsby.
Tank Bigsby. Or Mingo, but I would take Tank Bigsby.
There goes Mingo off the board. I am currently on the clock. Here's my quarterback situation, just so you know. I have Tua Tagovailoa and Kyler Murray.
That's not great, Bob.
It's not great. I think I need to go quarterback here.
I think you got to go quarterback here.
All right. If that's the case, then yeah.
I think I got to go CJ Stroud over Bryce Young here.
I agree.
I would do that as well.
All right. We're going CJ Stroud.
I don't feel good about it. I don't feel great about any
Ohio
of the
State quarterback in the NFL of all time, CJ Stroud.
I mean, there's Justin Fields who's doing pretty good.
All right. He's going to be better. He's going to be better is what I'm saying.
He could. Yeah, honestly, they both could be shit. We still don't know.
They absolutely could.
Sorry, I'm coming with a full nihilist view today, guys.
You are. You're
fuck it. Who cares? Fuck it, dude.
I don't give a fuck about it. Did something happen today, Aaron?
No.
Joe Burrow came back. That's what it was.
Yeah, that's what it was.
That's why you're.
Because I wasn't fully. I wasn't okay. No, I was not living in any fantasy world.
Hold on. Somebody just drafted a kicker.
Yeah.
Somebody just drafted a kicker in the second round of our dynasty. A rookie. It's a rookie kicker.
Three were drafted this year.
That's amazing. That's amazing to me. That's absolutely hilarious. Bryce Young is on the board and a kicker was taken. Anyway.
Undersized
silly.
Quarterbacks are scary.
Silly. Anyway, what were you saying? You were fully expecting JB9?
Yeah. Do you think anyone in Cleveland was anticipating that we were not playing Joe Burrow week 1?
I think there's probably a little hope.
I mean, yes, if I was presented with red pill, blue pill.
Yeah.
Red pill, Joe Burrow plays week 1, blue, he does not. Yeah, I'm going to take the blue pill, guys.
Right. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
And it's like, man.
That's fine. But I'm also looking at the red pill like, that one looks like it's going to go down easier. I'll just deal with that.
Yeah.
We knew like this is what the Bengals did last year with Joe Burrow's injury. The one thing I will say though, as a Browns fan, there's not a better time that I would want to play Joe Burrow than week 1 after not really playing any of the preseason. I mean, we saw the Bengals week 1 lose that game to Pittsburgh where, they've come out rusty before, and I'd rather take on Joe Burrow week 1 than week 4 after he, plays himself, back into not shape, because I'm not saying he's out of shape, but like just game speed and all of that. I don't know. I'd actually be curious, to hear your guys' opinion as Bengals fans. Like, how important is that as opposed to just the health of making sure he's ready to go?
Todd, I'll let you take that real quick, Tez. We will get to your comments. Keep your NFL questions and comments coming through the chat. We appreciate everybody dropping in tonight for our little gun.
Oh, get to Tez first. I'm sorry. We can come back to this.
All right. So Tez coming in with a comment saying, how did Bryce look in the preseason? Anybody get a chance to watch any Bryce Young?
He looked fine.
Yeah.
The first game was tough against the Jets because, that defense was blitzing all night, like remember the Titans crowd. And he got sacked a lot. It was honestly, and when you look at his size, it's somewhat uncomfortable to watch. Now, the one thing I will say about Bryce Young is it's very obvious why he was the number 1 overall pick from just a pure talent standpoint, but this isn't 7-on-7. Like that guy can zip the ball. That guy, he has poise. Like I sensed poise out of his game. Everyone will take any undersized quarterback and want to make like a Drew Brees comparison or something like that. I'm sorry, but Drew Brees is the exception and not the rule. And I'm gonna be a Bryce Young denier until he proves me otherwise, just because of the history of the league.
Todd?
Yeah, so I think I'm trying to dig in here and see what I can find from like a stat perspective on Bryce Young from the preseason. I don't think that really matters much, but I think watching him, I watched him probably, let's call it 10 times in his college career at Alabama, and obviously this is a significantly different game getting into the NFL. But Aaron brings up a good point, and just being he seems very patient. Right,
Yes.
patient as a quarterback, and I think that's a very important trait to have for a young quarterback in the NFL, is that he's not afraid to let a play develop, and if it ends up in a sack, it ends up in a sack, right? I think, Corey, we shared a similar experience watching Joe Burrow develop in the NFL, right? Like he's very willing to let a play fail if it doesn't set up right.
Yep.
And it's easy to fix the wait until the play fails and turn it into, hey, let's wait until you need to make the play, right? And that's the thing I noticed about Bryce Young that I really like, is that he's not afraid to take the hit and move on. And I've actually spent a little bit of time watching Bryce Young on a show. So they used to do the show QB1 on Netflix. They did a 4th season of QB1 on an app called Tubi. And the 3 quarterbacks they follow are Bryce Young, Anthony Richardson, and a guy that doesn't matter, right? They usually always have one guy that doesn't matter in that show. And watching Bryce Young in high school,
Is that what
versus,
it says, like on the bottom left?
Yeah, yeah.
John Jones doesn't matter.
Like Bryce Young, QB1, Alabama.
Yeah. It's always quarterback that's at a monster high school. So that's Bryce Young that went to Mater Dei in California, top 5 high school program. Anthony Richardson goes to some random school in Gainesville. That's where he went to high school. He's from Gainesville. I didn't know that.
I didn't realize he was from Gainesville.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. And then this last guy's from
Tough recruiting job there.
Yeah, they showed Dan Mullen multiple times, and what they pan the camera to him at one point in time, and he's just looking in the stands. He's not even watching the game. Just looks funny. They clip it to where Anthony Richardson makes this 45, 50-yard pass, and Dan Mullins is just looking up in the stands. But Bryce Young, even in high school, was bar none the best athlete on the field. There was no competition. And there was a game where he plays DJ Ugalele, who's now the quarterback at not Notre Dame.
He was at Clemson for a minute.
Clemson. Yeah, he transferred. Doesn't matter. But Bryce Young dominated that game. And I think it translates to like you watch him in college and the NFL. I think it's just good. Aaron said it. If you're getting drafted in the first round, top 5, you're on a bad team.
Yeah. Yeah. And more often
Carolina
than
would
not,
have been there anyway.
Yeah. And more often than not, when you're starting a rookie quarterback, you are going to end up picking in the top 10 next year.
Yeah. So
just
I think being drafted by a bad team and you're the best option.
Yeah.
That's what it is. I mean, but there were a couple plays where it reminds me, and dial this back here, boys. I don't know the last time you guys have seen The Water Boy, but where they're like, and this trend seems to be catching on, and it's like Michigan tries out their towel boy.
Yeah.
And he just gets murdered. Like there are some plays where you're like, this is uncomfortable to watch.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think he's got to have his work cut out for him for sure. I don't, we've said this a few times, and for rookie coaches and for rookie quarterbacks, is to not necessarily judge them by their body of work from this one season. I think it's there's a lot to be said looking at Josh Allen's rookie year compared to his second year and the progress that he made from having a full season of NFL play under his belt. So,
Lawrence too.
Yeah, absolutely. He had the turnover bug pretty heavily in his first season. So, has since dialed that back and is turning into a,
it really does go both ways though, too. For, like Baker had
for a good season.
Baker had a good rookie year,
Yeah.
or like Mac Jones had a really good rookie year. It's let's let these guys develop and not decide the narrative before, like they're kids,
Yeah.
Relative.
Very, very rich kids.
Yeah, you can go to war.
62%.
They're college educated, Corey.
62% completion percentage for Bryce Young. No interceptions in the preseason.
Hey, we want really anything more than that, just from a numbers perspective.
No, the biggest thing was the sacks absorbed, which again is not yes, sacks can sometimes be a quarterback stat, like you guys were talking about with Joe Burrow. Like sometimes I'll let the play develop rather than throw it away for the chance of the play, and that's commendable. But there's certain body types at the quarterback that, like you were saying, Josh Allen getting hit a couple more times than Bryce Young doesn't feel as bad.
So let's see. We got some other comments coming in here. Tez with another one here. Appreciate you coming by, everybody. Go ahead and drop your NFL questions and comments in the chat. Like the stream and share the stream if you haven't already. It's the best way you can help support us. Says, and crazy how Burrow was just saying how happy he was to be healthy and get the reps. Then boom, injured. I feel bad for him. It was literally the next day after Joe Burrow's opening press conference that he had said, I feel so good to be healthy. I really like these reps. Having these reps, they help me a lot, get up to speed, all of these things. And then bam, the next day, Joe Burrow with the calf strain. Aaron, you had made a comment that you were, go ahead and repeat that just for anybody that's new to the stream right now. What do you wanted our perspective on something in regards to Joe Burrow?
Oh, I was curious about your perspective in terms of, are you okay with him not taking the reps for the sake of the health, or how important are the preseason reps? Because it did. And again, it's a short sample size, but we basically saw the same thing happen last offseason for the Bengals when it came to Joe Burrow, right? It was the appendicitis, where, that kept him out. Obviously completely different situation, but same, results in terms of basically missed the entire preseason. And, let's face it, the Bengals came out looking a little rusty. Now, of course, by the time we get to midseason, end of season, they're an AFC juggernaut. There's no denying that. But in a division, especially like the AFC North, where you are starting against an AFC North team, how important is it to, start strong as opposed to, work yourself back into, NFL shape, if you will. I'm not saying he's out of shape.
Yeah. So I think the big thing, at least from watching last year, was I attribute a lot of the offensive woes for the first 3 weeks to more lack of time and lack of play development, meaning that their offensive line was there was no chemistry within, let's call it really a brand new offensive line, except for one guy that I think
which at that point is still brand new.
Yeah. So it's I think it took more time for them to develop chemistry and for them to make the adjustments. And, I think of watching the Dallas game last year where he didn't really make a ton of mistakes. It's just that when every play you have to get the ball out. And I think we talked about it last year on the podcast too. He had about 1.8 seconds to get the ball out for the first 3 weeks. And that's just not enough time, fellas. Yeah. You can't even steal a base in that amount of time. So I attribute the woes more to that. It seems, and I'll knock on a little wood here. It seems that that's kind of alleviated some based on the return of the majority of the offensive line. Now there's only one new offensive lineman. I guess we'll call it two with Jonah Williams moving to the other side of the ball. But I don't see that being as much of an issue. But I do certainly think that, like anything, you need to be a little warmed up before you start making big plays. So I could certainly see the Bengals coming out in week one and struggling to move the ball for the first half, maybe even the first game.
Let's manifest that. Let's
I don't know. I feel like I could be wrong here. I just feel like there's more time this year than he had last year in between the appendectomy and then going live for week one against the Steelers. Whereas this year he's got like a full week and a half of practice. Yeah. And I don't know. I feel like it is a little bit different because Burrow has been throwing. It's not that he hasn't been throwing the ball. It's just that he hasn't been out running and in practice and doing drills and things like that. You got to imagine the abdomen is a pretty important part of a quarterback when you're twisting and throwing. So the appendectomy probably put him down a little bit more. Whereas now, with the calf, obviously the calves are big as well, pushing off the leg and things like that. Those are big, but just being able to throw the ball, be around the team and things like that, those things absolutely helped. And I think having experience of going through something like that last year is going to help them. But Todd's right. I mean, at the end of the day, it boils down to the time up front. He had none of it. But I'm not going to sugarcoat. He didn't play well either. Like he had like 4 interceptions, if I'm not mistaken, that week one.
He did.
It was pretty bad.
Yeah, and I'm certainly not predicting that. I just mean in general as a unit, that's people think preseason is where they work this out. It's not at all. Like that's it's so much practice and practice reps against year ones, the joint practices and things like that. It's the stuff that we don't get to see that is really the most important, which is why I find it funny when like a player balls out in a preseason game. They're like, I can't believe he didn't make the roster. And you're like,
Yeah.
The coaches have watched every snap and like they actually know what's going on.
Yeah.
But I digress there. One of the reasons you can imagine that first time in week one when not to say it'll be a sack, but the second Myles Garrett gets past his guy, that's going to be a big difference between, still throwing on the sideline.
Sure.
Yeah. Let's see. We got some other comments rolling here. Appreciate everybody coming by. Go ahead and throw your NFL questions, fantasy questions as well. Throw those in the chat. Let's see here. Bobby with a comment saying, have you watched any of the Jets Giants? Rodgers to Wilson looks solid.
I mean, yeah, I've been watching some. I've been watching some Hard Knocks. Like that's certainly been a good way of watching some of what's going on with the Jets. I have not really seen a ton of the Giants, to be honest, other than hearing that Darren Waller looks good. Darren Waller looks healthy. Like he's happy again. He had a real problem with McDaniel in Vegas. That I think is going to be an interesting weapon for the Giants. But for the Jets, I think. We all know about Rodgers, of course, them being on Hard Knocks. Everyone's getting a little bit. For me personally, I'm getting a little over it. But there have been, some moments watching it where Rodgers has been surprisingly likable. I think for a lot of people. But that division is so tough that with that offensive line, I'm a little concerned. But that defense, boy, is going to be
nasty.
That's sauce.
Yeah. I think everybody's seen the highlight of the Aaron Rodgers, Garrett Wilson touchdown pass where Aaron Rodgers threw it only where Garrett Wilson could catch it, and Garrett Wilson makes the perfect move to get the ball in the end zone. Obviously we're talking about the offensive rookie of the year last year, and that was with Mike White, Joe Flacco, and Zach Wilson, right? Having a good veteran quarterback throwing you the ball certainly makes you just a little bit better. So I expect Garrett Wilson to pop off this year. And I agree with Aaron. I think the Giants have been like, I haven't heard shit other than watching Darren Waller highlights in the back of the end zone, making one-handed ridiculous catches. And that Jamison Crowder got cut. That's like the only headline I've seen from the Giants on Twitter is that Jamison Crowder got cut.
Yeah, I haven't spent a whole lot of time watching either of these teams, to be honest with you, because I feel like one of them is being force-fed down my throat, kind of what Aaron was saying. But in terms of the Giants, I haven't really spent a whole lot of time with them. I think I have the same apathy that Aaron has towards the Colts for the Giants. I just don't give a fuck at all about that team.
Sure.
At all. Kind of where we're landing on that one. Let's see here. What else do we got coming into the chat? Speaking of rookies, who do you have for the awards at the end of the year? Defensive Rookie of the Year.
I pulled up some odds here in anticipation of seeing this, and Bobby, it's a great question. So of course, on the Offensive Rookie of the Year, Bijan Robinson is going to be your odds-on favorite.
That makes sense.
Followed by Bryce Young, Anthony Richards, C.J. Stroud, Jahmyr Gibbs, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Zay Flowers. List obviously goes on from there. If I had to pick anyone in those positions, I'm probably taking Bryce Young. And the reason for that is the division that they play in. I think it's the most wide open. The Falcons, of course, are in that division. Bijan is right there, but as we know, this is a quarterback-driven league. It's also a narrative-driven league. So if Bryce Young can come in and somehow get this team into playoff contention, or at the very least being there at the end of the season, while throwing for, 25 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, maybe rushing for 4 or 5 or something like that. I think he's going to put himself right there in the conversation. And being that he plays such a premium position, as well as, although he was the number 1 overall pick, I still don't think people view him as this sure thing. So I don't think that's going to be weighed down in the voters' minds. So of course that's weighted a little bit at plus, 400. You're getting him.
Nope.
And Aaron popped off. It's okay.
We'll bring him back in.
It was such It was such a good analysis.
He was right in the middle of something really, really,
really special.
there.
Oh,
it was.
He's loading. And ladies and gentlemen, Aaron Mailing.
Sorry about that. I don't know where I cut out at, but yeah, I mean, Bryce and Bijan are your best bets, but I would take Bryce because of the quarterback position.
When's the last time a quarterback won Offensive Rookie of the Year?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Thank you, Todd. We have the interns look that up. Chat, look that up. Chat, look that up. Look that up, chat.
2019, Kyler Murray.
Yeah, I was gonna say I didn't think it was that long.
Before that,
it's not that uncommon.
Yeah, so you had a good run of quarterbacks in the 2010s. You had Sam Bradford, Cam Newton, RG3.
Ryan, thanks for liking the stream, buddy.
Couple year gap. Then you had Dak Prescott winning it in 2016. But really, before that, it was very, very few and far between for a quarterback winning the award.
Right.
Matt Ryan, Vince Young, Ben Roethlisberger winning it in the actual 2000s.
Wow.
And then in the 90s, zero quarterbacks won it in the 90s.
Were they all running backs?
Pretty damn close. Only two wide receivers won Offensive Rookie of the Year in the 90s. Can you guys tell me who you think it was?
Say the question again. I'm sorry.
Two wide receivers won Offensive Rookie of the Year in the 90s. Who do
Randy
you think
Moss.
those two players were? Yep, 98.
Chris Carter.
Nope.
No.
Terrell in the 80s. Nope. Early 90s.
Early 90s.
1992 to be specific.
Hall of Famer?
No. You're going to be pissed, though, when I tell you.
Oh, is it Peter Work?
Nope.
No.
He got drafted in 2000.
Hold on.
Fuck.
Terry Holt?
Nope.
Tory Holt?
Or Tory Holt?
It's a Bengal, what he's talking about. Oh, fuck. It's God damn it. Hold on. 1992. He was a first-round draft pick. Oh my God. Why is Kajana Carter just keeps popping in my head? I know it's not it, but God damn it. Carl Pickens. Pickens. Thanks, Bob. God damn it. Fuck you, Kajana Carter.
I like it. Yeah, every other year in the 90s. So it's obviously become if you're playing odds, it's three times a decade that it happens. So I'm playing my hand the other way, and I think it's Bijan Robinson winning it just because I believe that he will be a rookie 11 to 1,300 yard rusher. He'll score a bunch of touchdowns for Atlanta. He'll be the centerpiece of the offense, and it makes
the thought process is sound because who has the track to the most touches? It's going to be a rookie running back, right?
For sure.
Low tread on the tires. They're going to ask him to do something. If you're looking at a good value, Jahmyr Gibbs at plus 900 is I would take that over.
I like that one a lot.
+3. You're getting basically 3 times the value for 10 or so draft slots. But no, I mean, Todd, you're completely right. I mean, the running back has the lane to that Offensive Rookie of the Year over the wide receiver. Quarterback can obviously be in there too. They touch the ball on every play. But teams, as we've seen in the last 10 or so years, if you're drafting somebody in the first round, you're planning on workhorseing them.
I mean, here's one to just throw out there. Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Yeah, the injury to start the season concerns me.
He's back at practice. He's back at
practice, but I don't think he's going to play week 1. I don't know that he'll play week 2. Him not starting on the IR is a big deal because that means that they expect him to play within the first 4 weeks. I would be surprised if he played week 1, but again, obviously could be wrong there. The problem for me is, he's with DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett.
That's why I like it, actually.
Okay.
Opening up opportunities for him.
Not siphoning him away.
Right. I think that there could be, DK Metcalf is going to draw the majority of the interest of any secondary that the Seahawks line up against. Tyler Lockett has been the beneficiary of that I think Jackson Smith and Jigba could become the new beneficiary of that. Obviously, health is a huge concern. Looking at everything, for everybody, if staying on the field is a massive caveat to everything here. And we always just kind of assume that everyone's going to stay healthy, and obviously that isn't the case. I'm interested as well because I think there's a clear-cut answer to this next part. But I'm curious if you have any dark horses here. Defensive Rookie of the Year.
So there's a couple names that come to mind for me. Jalen Carter, I think first and foremost for Philly. I feel like he's, even just watching him in preseason, he looks like a 3-year vet, like that perfect 3-year vet where you're like, he gets it, but he's still at his like athletic peak. There's going to be a lot of people moving in and out of that defense though.
Yeah. Crowded D-line.
Jack Campbell, I think, is a good shot there as well.
A linebacker.
Yeah, well, I mean, it comes
an inside linebacker.
Yeah, but a lot of times it comes down to be like, oh, this rookie had 110 tackles.
Yeah, sure. Sure.
5 sacks.
I mean, are we not talking about Willie Anderson?
I mean, we can. He's the odds-on favorite, so I kind of, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, of course.
Yeah, from a gambling perspective, it's different, I think, than what do we think is going to actually happen, right?
Yeah.
Aaron's giving you. I think Will Anderson makes the most sense in this situation. JJ Watt 2.0 kind of deal.
Yeah. Well, very similarly to Aaron's logic of the quarterback's the sexiest position to win the offensive rookie of the year. The edge rusher is the sexiest position to win the defensive rookie of the year.
Sure. Or a corner like Sauce did last year.
Yeah.
I think so. Corner is also really good.
I think if we're talking dark horses for defensive rookie of the year, fellow, I'm thinking Devin Witherspoon in Seattle. That's kind of where my head goes. Obviously a top 10 pick there. Was a monster in Illinois, just being overshadowed by being at the University of Illinois, right? But you look at all of what he possesses as a quarterback, especially playing in a division where you got Debo and Brandon Ayuk, and that's really your best competition in the NFC West. I think a guy like Devin Witherspoon for receivers.
I mean, there's Cooper Kupp.
Yeah, but Devin, Devin, yeah, you're right. If he's healthy, if he plays, right, we're not where he is. But I'm thinking in terms of who is Devin Witherspoon going to cover one-on-one. I think Debo Samuel or Brandon Ayuk are probably more of the one-on-one covers there for him, and I could see him feasting on kind of the famine through the NFC West. Right, getting locked up one-on-one with a Van Jefferson or a Hollywood Brown, Rondale Moore. Insert any wide receiver for the Rams.
I don't know, dude. He's gonna have to go up against Josh Dobbs twice. I agree with you. My only concern with that, and again, from just looking at the odds, like make that pick, no problem with that pick. Good pick. My worry is I think the Seahawks are going to be a top 5 offense this year. I truly believe that. A lot of that has to do with their competition, everything like that. But Corey, we were just talking about the receivers, right? Like I think this is going to be a legitimately good offense. I think Kenneth Walker, as long as he can come back healthy, they drafted Charbonnet in the 2nd round. They have a potent offense, and I think Geno Smith proved a lot of doubters wrong last year, myself included, where I actually believe this team. And at least on offense. And the problem with that is you're going to have teams throwing on you, and you're going to, a lot of times, whether it be rookie cornerbacks or, young guys in general in the secondary, whether that be, just pass interference calls that come into play. Like Sauce Gardner last year was like a revelation. Yeah. And ironically enough, the last player I really saw play that well as a rookie was Darrelle Revis.
Jet.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's an easy comparison, of course, but like really that game changing as a rookie, like even like, a guy I watched all the time, like Denzel Ward, like his rookie year, he was awesome, but he still made a ton of rookie mistakes.
Sure.
Bobby came in with a question there. I threw it up on the screen. Who do you think the biggest difference maker on that Seahawks team is going to be? I know we mentioned a lot of the guys already, but who kind of sets himself apart as like the
Pete Carroll? I'm just kidding.
I think it's Kenneth Walker the third. I really do. I think being able to establish a running game for Seattle and complementing Geno Smith, because we're very easily talking about with the trio of Metcalf, Lockett, and Smith and Jigba being in the top 5 of a trio of wide receivers in the NFL, fellas. So you know that they're all going to get what they need to get. But I think Kenneth Walker III showed flashes of being a above average running back in this league when he's healthy. And, you know, the key to a good passing game is being able to establish the run game. And for Geno Smith to live off of a strong play action to get Tyler Lockett in the corner of the end zone or hit Smith and Jigba 12 yards downfield, it's going to come down to, you know, Kenneth Walker III being able to eat yards on the ground and get that clock for him. So that's my pick for Seattle. I think that's kind of a cop-out pick, but I like him a lot.
Don't worry, I'll save you with an even better cop-out pick. It's Geno.
Yeah, I'm there.
It's Geno. I mean, listen, the guy threw for 4,300 yards last year and 30 touchdowns. The season that was closest to that was his rookie year where he threw for 3,000. Like the difference that we saw between Geno last year and Geno 8 years before is like, can he do it again? I saw enough last year where, to me, it was a guy who had a rough start to his career, found a backup role in the league, which is, you know, sometimes what a lot of these guys actually needed. They actually have time to develop and become, you know, just as mentally mature as they are physically mature, from a understanding an NFL's, you know, playbook standpoint. And for Geno, it was, I mean, dude, this guy was a legitimate, and I know the Pro Bowl doesn't mean much anymore, but there has to be some kind of nod to the best players of the year. And like, he was a Pro Bowl quarterback last year, not just so-and-so doesn't want to play, we'll throw him in. Like, Geno Smith was a legitimately deserving Pro Bowl quarterback last year out of the NFC. And I like, that's the answer. And again, I know that that's a cop out because, the quarterback's really important. You don't say, but for seeing something out of a guy that's been in the league for as long as he is, to see if he can do something like that again is, I don't know, Corey. I think we were on the same page. So what is that crazy to say? Like,
no, I think it's, I mean, you ask me, you know, there are very few teams where if you ask me who the difference maker is, I'm not going to say the quarterback. You know, for me, like the Steelers,
which is why I'm saying it's a cop out. But I feel like it's different to say Geno than it is to be like, Joe Burrow. The Bengals go as Joe Burrow goes. Like, shit, dude.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, the Steelers, for instance, they go as TJ Watt goes, right? The stats are there to show you that the Steelers win more games when TJ Watt is on the field versus when he is not, and that's enough for me to be convinced that he is the difference maker for that team. But in order for Seattle to replicate and thus build upon what they accomplished last year, I think Geno Smith is absolutely the key. He absolutely has to be able to replicate that, because I think they have some glaring deficits on that defensive side of the football that offense is going to have to compensate for. And it looks like they got the tools around him to be able to do it. It's just, can he be consistent? And he was consistent last year. Can he be consistent year over year? Obviously, I mean, he was consistent throughout the season, but being able to do that back-to-back seasons, you know, as we've seen across this league for the majority of our lives, is a pretty difficult thing. Unless you're truly one of the better ones. So
yeah, it seemed to be this thing last year where it was like, you know, you break up the NFL season in quarters, right, or chunks. It was like the first quarter of the season, it was like, wow, look what Geno Smith is doing in Seattle. Good for him, especially after they traded Russell Wilson. And then it got to a point like after halfway through the season where you were like, like he was probably still hanging out in your waiver wires in fantasy, where people were like, is Geno Smith actually like good? Like, what is going on in Seattle? It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, don't forget Drew Lock was going to be the starting quarterback going into the season. Yeah.
Great point, Todd.
That was a part of the trade back to Seattle, was to get another quarterback to lead the offense, and then Geno surpassed him very quickly. And
then what happened is excellent coaching decision is what happened, Todd. Leadership abound. In the rainy city there of Seattle, and Pete Carroll demonstrated why he is one of the greatest coaches in our league.
Do you think Pete Carroll falls asleep in a recliner every night watching Frasier?
I think with crossword puzzle on his lap.
Obviously.
Yeah, plastic thing that sits around the armchair arm and holds remotes, TV guides. Yeah, I think that his birthday's coming up, by the way, September 15th, Bobby. I know you already have it on your calendar, and Bobby's watching. He's jumping in the chat right now. So I just want to get another reminder out there. September 15th, Pete Carroll's birthday is coming up, Bobby.
He's going to turn 103.
Yep, that's right.
And be in better shape than all of us.
Yeah, dude. Did you see him out there winging it? He's out there slinging some footballs out there.
Yeah, man, good for him.
Yeah, dude.
And I think he might the second oldest coach in the league behind Belichick.
I think he's gonna be 71. How old's Belichick? Let's look it up. Chat, interns. Let's get on that one.
I'll say Belichick's 74.
He's
insanity.
71.
So he will be 72. Pete will. In mere days.
They're also 71. So yeah, let's see.
Pete's older. Right? Unless Belichick's birthday is in the next couple of days.
Yeah. Belichick is in April. He's 70. Well, but he's 71 now. They're both 71. Yeah.
Yeah, Pete's older.
Pete Carroll,
oldest coach. Oldest.
Yeah. You know what it was is he was the oldest coach in the league like 8 years ago. It was behind Coughlin, I believe.
There you go. Mr. Jacksonville himself, Tom Coughlin. All right.
Not the Giants where he won 2 Super Bowls.
Yeah.
I know. He went back there, yeah.
Yeah. He's got Bobby says he watches Murder, She Wrote on his plastic covered couch.
In his mansion, Bobby. In his mansion.
With his Super Bowl ring. All right, let's see. A couple other comments I want to get to. Ramsey was good even as a rookie.
That's true. It's fair.
Let's see what else we got.
I'm just saying,
here.
I think cornerback is one of the hardest rookie positions to play.
Oh, absolutely. I think it's such an adjustment between an NFL receiver and a college receiver.
You have to be elite to come in as a rookie and like be a difference maker. Not make plays. Plays. Like even Trayvon Diggs, who had all those interceptions, go look at his PFF grades. Like trash.
So Bobby coming in with, y'all got any hot takes or wild predictions for the year? I have one. Well, Bobby, I'd love to hear what it is. I'm sure it has something to do with the Steelers and the AFC North, but I would love to hear what your wild or hot take is.
I don't think he's going to go down that road.
The question is, how wild do you want to get? Like one of my hot takes is the Dolphins.
Like 3 a.m. Comedy Central commercial wild, you know?
Oh.
Joe Francis.
You want shit to get pixelated up in here? No, I mean like that's one, and again, that's a low heat, but I have the Dolphins winning the AFC East. I feel pretty good about that one actually. I
have the Chargers missing the playoffs.
Okay.
And Brandon Staley being fired.
Is it? Yeah. There's. I'm trying to look at some other ones here, and I don't want it all to just be about
Oh, Rob, sorry I missed this one on for you, buddy. Rob came in. Did you guys confirm or deny Justin Herbert was actually the last?
Yeah, I was wrong. I said Kyler was the last one, 2019. Herbert did win it in 2020. I just try to erase that year out of my mind.
Shout out to Stats Guy Rob.
Nice job, Rob.
For us. Nice job.
Yeah.
Rob.
Anybody else have any bold predictions? Anything you want to share in the chat? I'd love to, kind of discuss those through. Anything that catches your guys' eye.
I really want to hear Bobby's.
Yes.
I'm sure it's very fuego, if you will. I mean, I don't know. It's not. I think the Bengals are going to win the Super Bowl. That's not that hot of a take. They're like the third best odds right now, or something like that. Fourth best odds. Something like that. So that's not that hot. Let's see. Joe Burrow MVP.
That was going to be my.
That's not that bold to me. Like
it's not.
That's
like the one I bet
right.
it a while ago, but I feel like Boulder is like what I had Justin
Fields.
I have
Definitely
Justin
bold.
Fields MVP. I think.
Yeah.
But again, I'm not predicting that as much as I am liking the value of what the
bet.
Book value.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right, here's Bobby's bold prediction. George Pickens, 1,000 yards, 10 TDs, 85 catches.
Boys, I'm going to ask you this question.
Okay.
Is that bold?
I don't think so. 1,000 yards isn't that big.
1,000 yards, 10 touchdowns,
10
maybe.
touchdowns is a lot.
But even then, if you were to tell me that exact same stat line with 8 touchdowns, I'd be like, yeah, okay, sure.
85 catches, I think, is a lot too.
In 17
Deontay
games,
Johnson
assuming he
had
stays
80
healthy.
So Deontay Johnson had 86 last year. That's who he led the Steelers with 86 receptions.
Oh, then no, never mind.
Yeah.
Bobby, we're talking bold here, not low sodium soy sauce.
Come on. Give me some sriracha in this bitch.
I think a bold prediction, if you're predicting like a receiver stat line, is to say that they're going to go triple-digit catches to at least 10 touchdowns, 1,200 yards, right? And that becomes a bold thing. I expect that from George Pickens in that offense. I expect him to be their leading receiver.
Oh, here's one for you. Najee Harris will not be the yards leader for the Steelers in rushing this year.
You think it'll be Jalen Warren?
I think it'll be Jalen Warren.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm sorry. I don't think Najee Harris is good. I get big Trent Richardson vibes watching him.
Really?
You can only have no speed and run into the back of the offensive lineman so many times until I just go, I don't think he knows where he's going.
Back-to-back 1,000-yard rusher.
Uh-huh. How many carries? What was the average? 3 point what?
I mean,
3.8 yards a carry.
That's not bad.
That's not elite.
Who said elite? You just said that Jalen Warren was going to have.
He was a first-round pick, dude.
Yeah,
I'm going to need my first-round pick to get more than 3 point anything.
I do think Jalen Warren is going to end up taking the lion's share of the carries by the end of the season, and thus will be the leading rusher for the Steelers. I just think he's better.
I think that's a great pick. 1, because he's better. 2, because there's more tread on the tires for Najee.
Yeah, less tread for Najee. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
They've used more tread, and that's easy. If we want to go bold here, let's go bold. Let's
take our shirts off. What? Who said that? That was weird. Weird echo in here. The acoustics.
Jordan Love will be top 5 in touchdowns. Now let's get bold. Let's get spicy.
That's spicy. That's really spicy. Ooh. So, all right. So top 5. Let's just Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen.
Passing touchdowns, I'll say.
Yeah. I would say Hurts, Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, then Love. Is that what we're kind of thinking here?
I don't know.
You just said it. What do you mean? Don't know?
No. I don't know who the other 4 are going to be. That's not part of the game.
I'm just trying to figure out where.
Yeah.
Like, who?
Well, but here's the thing. You look at any year. There's always going to be variance, right? It's you take a look at 14 playoff teams. 7 stay, 7 go. Like that. Like the NFL is designed to turn over year after year after year. So, is that part of the reason that top 5 is going to happen? Because pencil in quarterback X gets injured. Yeah, probably. There's certain luck that's involved when doing this, but the point is you always see these type of, ascending type players. I think picking a guy like Jordan Love, that's the bold part. I actually like him a lot, to tie this back into the fantasy talk we had earlier. I love grabbing Jordan Love if everybody else is taking quarterbacks. He's got, remember when, and I'm not going to compare him to Patrick Mahomes, but like Patrick Mahomes, his rookie year was going like 10 or 11 because nobody knew who he was. I love the idea of grabbing not a rookie quarterback, but a guy who was drafted as a rookie that got to sit a lot and is ultimately playing for a team that does have some pedigree.
All right, I got one for you. Derrick Henry will rush for less than 10 touchdowns this year. So why is that bold? Well, he's done it every year since 2018.
Every year. Yeah. Every year since he became a starter in Tennessee.
Yeah. Every year since 2018. So I'm predicting Derrick Henry will rush for less than 10 touchdowns next year. So since 2018, it's been 12, 16, 17, 10, 13. So the averages are coming down, but I'm going to say we're going to start seeing that regression significantly, I think, this year. I was going to say less than 1,000 yards, but I'm not ready to go there just yet. But I do think they have just run this Honda Civic 300,000 miles, and they haven't changed the oil. It's it's time. I think it's time to start seeing it going down.
Yeah.
All right. Here, I'll give you my bold, and I'll piggyback it off of my bold dark horse MVP pick last year. I don't know if you boys remember this, but I had a big L last year.
Yeah, Derek Carr.
Derek Carr will crack the top 5 in yards passed this season.
Comeback player of the year.
Comeback player of the year, Derek Carr. That's where I'm.
That's a great bet.
I like that. I like that a lot.
I think.
Aaron, pull up those odds while we got it. Comeback player of the year odds.
So it's DeMar Hamlin, probably the closest to an even line that you can get right now.
Yeah,
I mean, if he plays a snap, right?
Yeah, he's the comeback player of the year.
He is the odds-on favorite at.
It's what, plus 200?
No, like minus 3,000.
Minus 285.
Yeah. But let me just talk my way into.
You can get Derek Carr at plus 5,000.
Yeah, so let me talk my way, because I'm sure Russ is more of a comeback player of the year.
Russ is I believe, the second.
Yeah,
good one.
No. Well, Russ is tied with Tua, correct?
Yeah.
And then you got Lamar Jackson, Breece Hall, John Mechie, Cooper Kupp, Trey Lance, and then
John Mechie would be a good one.
Calvin Ridley's in there as well as an interesting one.
Yeah, I would love John Mechie to come back and make a immediate
You can
impact.
bet on Calvin Ridley being
Isn't that great?
Here, and the only reason he's there is because he was suspended for betting. That's fucking hilarious.
I'm sorry. I'm okay with Todd. I'm sorry. I want you to go, but before, just real quick, it's not hard, guys. If you're in the NFL, you can't vote. You can't bet on the NFL.
Yep.
If you are involved in voting on the awards, you're also not allowed to.
You may not like the rule. We may not agree with the rule, but
it's very easy rule.
Yeah, just follow it.
Yeah, just follow it. Just put your seatbelt on.
Yeah. It scratches my neck.
Yeah. There's a whole rabbit hole we could go down there for about 2 years ago.
Todd, please rescue us.
So I think Chris Olave is sneaky one of the better is the second best young or sophomore wide receiver behind his counterpart of from Ohio State, Garrett Wilson. I think that he's a guy that could very easily crack the 1,200 yard mark. I think somehow, some way through all of this, Michael Thomas is going to come back and have a pretty decent year. And now I'm not saying it's not 115 or 121 catch Michael Thomas from 2018, 2019, but I think he could come back and do some damage. And also, he still has one of the best receiving running backs starting in week 4 in Alvin Kamara. Alvin Kamara takes care of business, being able to catch the ball out of the backfield. And I actually really like Juwan Johnson a lot as a tight end, and you still have the gimmicks of Taysom Hill. And now he lost Corey.
Oh, darn it.
And it's almost like we're being censored out here, Aaron. If you look at your screen here.
Well,
just a couple of guys you can't even make.
Hey, buddy.
Yeah. That's your buddy, guy.
So here's one I'm gonna take. Last year, Jamal Williams led the league in touchdowns at 17. It was kind of ridiculous. But then from there, 13, 13, 13, 12, 12, 12 goes from there. I'm predicting a running back renaissance in the NFL this year, where we've had so much talk in the offseason about how unimportant running backs are. And I think there is a lot of talent at the position. I just think it's very diluted. Mm-hmm. My bold prediction for this year is that you're going to have 3 running backs that have 15 plus touchdowns.
Ooh, I like it.
And you can take your part of the list. Yeah, I know Corey took the under for Derrick Henry, but Derrick Henry, Austin Eckler, Ezekiel Elliott, Nick Chubb, Josh Jacobs. Now, I'll make it bolder and say, of course, I'm going to take out the quarterback position, but you look at a guy like Jalen Hurts, who had 13 touchdowns last year. But no, I will take 3 running backs this year with 15 plus touchdowns.
Ooh,
rushing, receiving. Rushing, receiving. I'm saying you're getting that out of the, Christian McCaffrey.
Out of the running back, yeah. I like it. Oh, now it's just, whoa.
Get this line out of my face. Thank you.
I'm sorry. I had to go away, and now I'm back. Sorry.
Actually, I'll even double back on that, Todd, because now that I'm looking at it, taking the receiving with it almost isn't fair. So my bold prediction, Corey, was predicting a running back renaissance, and that you'll see 3+ running backs this year with 15 or more rushing touchdowns.
I'm just trying to, like, whenever you say, like, I like that. I like what you're saying there in the running back renaissance. I'm just trying to think about who those people would be. Rushing touchdowns, right? That's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think about who those running backs would be.
So, I mean, obviously you already took one off the board with Derrick Henry, but that obviously could be one. I, of course, am biased here, but I love Nick Chubb this year. Absolutely love him. I think he's going to, of course, with Hunt being gone, I think they're going to do a lot of read option stuff. I think Chubb's going to be very involved in the offense. Obviously, Saquon Barkley, Josh Jacobs.
Chubb has never had more than 12 rushing touchdowns.
Yeah, that's why these are called bold predictions.
Yeah, this is a stat.
But if I told you Nick Chubb had 15 touchdowns this year, high I'm from the future, would you be like, oh, that's very, very surprising?
No. I'm just looking. You said 3. I'm struggling to get to rushing
McCaffrey.
only. That's why I take McCaffrey off, but because of rushing.
You could.
Do you take Eckler off? I think Eckler's a guy that really.
I mean, Eckler had 13.
13 last year. Ooh.
I actually see a down year for Austin Eckler coming. To be honest with you,
because of an offensive coordinator change or just transitioning.
I see this offense going more vertical, and him being less of a part of that offense. I see that this offense utilizing all 3 of their massive weapons that they now have. And have invested in financially and with draft capital now with Quentin Johnston coming in. So I think that, just taking that into consideration, that's a huge part. Saquon, the biggest thing for me, why Saquon, that just further justifying that this is in fact a very bold prediction. Saquon's only had 11. That was his rookie year. Last year he had 10. So that would be a huge justification of that running back renaissance because we haven't seen it.
Yeah.
Let's see. We got some stuff coming in the chat here. Bobby coming up with Lions win their division.
They're the odds-on favorite. That's not bold at all. Again, Bobby's coming in here with some soy sauce heat.
Get that lemon pepper.
Yeah.
We need some blazing.
If you guys tried this Chipotle mayo, it's very spicy.
The purple Doritos. Woo.
One chip challenge. Am I right, boys?
Hey, Bobby takes the night off and goes down to Nashville. We gotta jab him a little bit.
Make sure you ask for your chicken unseasoned while you're there.
I fucked around and found out in Nashville.
Really?
Oh, no.
I was like,
I was joking.
They were like, do you want hot, very hot, or like stupid hot? I was like, you know what? I like spicy. I'm not clinically insane. Let me go very hot. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you, I shouldn't have done that because their level of very hot and my level of very hot aren't the same. I didn't enjoy the food. It was so hot. It wasn't edible. I had to pick the fucking skin off this fried chicken. I had Nashville hot chicken. I had to pick the skin off of it like I'm fucking Eric Cartman and throw it away. But he devours it, obviously.
Yeah.
And I had to get in there and just get all like a majority of the seasoning off. It was too hot. Go to Hattie B's, I believe is the establishment. It's a pretty famous one down there in Nashville, Bobby. Check it out. Give it if you're a bold man, go for that medium tier and see how it sends you.
I don't think he's a spicy guy either. Not to my recollection.
Clearly, with these soy sauce takes, I love spice. Love spice. I get drunk and go to Indian restaurants and they're like, "What level spice you? I want 10." What are you kidding me?
So that's funny you mentioned that, Corey, because that is my equivalent story is Indian, where it was like they do it on like a 5-point rating. Last time we got the 2, and I was like, I went with the 4, like the 4 or 5.
Yeah.
But when you order online, they can't see my skin tone. I think they if I said 4 in person, they'd be like, "We'll give you a 3." Like,
So I went. Oh, go ahead, finish that.
No, I was gonna say it
Yeah.
was so hot, but I'm an American, and like
Good
I
for
was
you.
like, I paid like $23 for this food.
I'm gonna eat it.
You
gonna
ate it.
eat it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, did I had a Vaseline up my butt and everything, but I was, I'm an American.
I think we've all learned that lesson with Indian food, right?
So I went.
The 2 or 3 is fine, and then you
But
go to
it's
the 4 or
so
the 5,
So
and
good.
you just start profusely sweating.
Because the heat is so flavorful and good. Stuff that is like gimmicky hot, I hate it.
So we went to this. There was this. We got drunk downtown Salt Lake City. Went to this restaurant. It's called, I believe, Himalayan Kitchen or something like that. Downstairs was the restaurant. Upstairs, a full-fledged Indian wedding was going on upstairs. So I was like, "Oh fuck! I just did exactly what I did to you guys."
Yeah,
Full-fledged Indian wedding is going on upstairs, and I'm like, "Well, yeah, this is gonna be really good." And so we're sitting down eating. I have the liquid courage of an idiot, and they're like, "What spice do you want?" I was like, "Well, I'd like a 9 or a 10, please." And they're like, "Okay." So they bring our food out. They give it to me. I'm like, "Oh, this is pretty good." I was like, "Can I get some more of the sauce, please?" And they're like, "You want more?" And they're like, hold on. Come back out, and they're like, "This, don't touch your eyes." They were like motioning, like, don't touch this, and don't touch their eyes. They broke in English, so they're, we were communicating that way. And I was like, okay. And I was like, I put a little bit on there. I was like, oh, that's really good. And so I take the whole thing and just like dump it all into my food. I didn't talk for the rest of the meal, just like sweating. I was like, more water, please. Non-bread. Can I get more non-bread? Just bring it out there and assist me through this fucking journey that I'm going through right now.
When you breathe in and out and it's equally as hot.
Yes.
Yeah,
you're just sitting there going,
you're like, which way?
Yeah, that was tough. But I learned my lesson. But it was delicious nonetheless.
We have some, I sent you guys a picture of, we did a little picking of the garden in the back. We got we still have a bunch left, but like huge crop of peppers that we did. We got serranos, jalapenos, poblanos, just a bunch of stuff. Right now, I got about 15 jars pickling right now of peppers. We're making a bunch of hot sauce. I am Peter Piper. But I got some in there with blueberries, some with pineapple, some with peach, some OG, just garlic. Like, dude, we're going hot sauce heavy on Friday. Gonna blend it all up.
Ooh.
Apple cider vinegar in it, stop the fermentation.
Look at you,
dude. I'll send you some bottles.
We're gonna
have a lot of bottles. So.
I'm giving the credit to you, but it's Mary, right? Or is this your
project?
But
I'm pretty heavily involved in this one. Yeah.
No,
like, would I know what I was doing, or would I have been like, let's do this? Probably not on my own, but like, I'm into it now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
That's how she feels it's like how she feels about football.
Bobby coming in with another hot take. He's like, you haven't had enough. I love spice. Here you go.
See, here's one.
Over 1,800 yards, 15 touchdowns, and 115 catches. God damn.
So I love this one. And it leads, because one of the other ones I wanted to predict was we will have a wide receiver this year with 2,000 receiving yards. First time since Calvin Johnson.
Wow. Damn. So Jamar Chase, just to throw it out there, rookie year, 81 catches, 1,400 yards, 13 touchdowns. Last season, obviously had the injury, 87 catches, 1,046 yards, 9 touchdowns for Jamar Chase. Can you do it, Todd? Better yet, can I reach this beer in the back of my fridge?
The yards seem more likely to me than the touchdowns.
Yeah, dude.
And he's an amazing touchdown grabber.
There's so many mouths to feed in Cincinnati, though. That's my thing. Is like, I think that here's the thing: is that if he stays healthy and they get to like week 14 and he's at like 95 catches, they'll figure it out. They'll figure out a way to get him into triple digits and get close to the yards. But if again, there's just too many mouths to feed. I think that there's too much upside for as you kind of like trickle down the depth chart. You get into like the third and short situations where you don't have to throw the ball to Jamar Chase because you have it's Charlie Bell from Purdue, or you still have Trent Irwin. Like that, there's just so much depth there that I just don't see it being feasible. But I'd love for somebody to speak it into existence.
Here we go. The Bengals will have 3 receivers with over 1,000 yards.
Dude, I've been pushing that button since they drafted Jamar Chase. Like, it's going to happen at some point in time. I actually don't think it happens until next year when Charlie Bell takes over for Tyler Boyd in that third.
Charlie Jones?
Charlie Jones. Sorry.
You got Charlie Jones over Andre Yoshivas.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, I've been seeing some stuff on Charlie. He needs to kind of weight up, which a year in the league will help get that strength up, obviously. But I liked the get up and get the ball kind of play style of Yoshivas. I really like that.
He's fun. I think the thing about him is that he's so long too. Yeah. He creates a ton of mismatches, and this guy's only played football for 6 years. Right. This is his 6th year of playing organized football. He's a track and field athlete. So yeah, I like Charlie Jones a lot. He's really one of the primary reasons Purdue was somehow able to make it into the Big Ten championship.
Was he a Biletnikoff finalist?
He was.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah. I like him a lot. I think that again, it's a similar for. He's a 4th round pick, right? I don't expect him to come in and get 500 yards in the air, but I think people will be surprised by his ability to return kicks and punts because a lot of people were pissed about them cutting Trent Taylor loose to make him the return guy. I think Bengals fans will immediately be relieved of that.
So, real quick before I want to get to our final thing for the night, I want to kind of do rapid fire predictions on divisions. Conference championship matchup and Super Bowl matchup. Before we get that, Todd, did you catch the first episode of From the Jungle?
I have not yet.
So
I'm queued up tomorrow for it, baby.
For those that don't know what it is, the Bengals actually produced their own basically version of Hard Knocks this year, and are releasing it on YouTube for everybody that is subscribed to that page. They are basically just dropping out a couple episodes. The first episode showcased obviously the Joe Burrow injury, the Logan Wilson extension, some of the draft picks, the first 2 preseason games as well, and some good insight on Zach Taylor and his connection to the city and being the head coach of the Bengals and stuff like that. So if you haven't checked it out, if you're into the Hard Knocks kind of deal, or the what was the Amazon Prime one? What was it fucking called? I don't know. I don't remember. But they,
I know what you're talking about.
Any of those kind of like in-depth, like docu-series style NFL shows from the jungle. The Bengals, the first episode dropped yesterday, and pretty good. So
I saw the first 3 minutes and I got fired up.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Zach Taylor, checking, just kind of talking through the season, where the Bengals are at as a team, as an organization. Logan Wilson talking about those kinds of things as well. He gets a nice spotlight in the first episode. Not a whole lot of Joe Burrow, not a whole lot of Jamar Chase, Joe Mixon, little bit of T Higgins as well. Nice little insight there. Bobby coming in with a comment before we get to our predictions on this season. Kenny Pickett will be the second best quarterback in the AFC North by the end of the season. Rob coming in with a comment saying, "Not a chance in hell there, Bobby."
Yeah. Also, I'm not sure how you're quantifying that, if it's just on vibes, but we'll see. Maybe. I mean, maybe he had a great preseason. Maybe. Yeah, I would be surprised if it wasn't for injury, but that's what makes it a bold prediction.
That's a bold take.
Last one I wanted to make before we move on, at least for myself. For the running back position, I think Tony Pollard will lead all running backs in scrimmage yards.
I like that.
That's my prediction. My bold prediction is he leads the NFL. in scrimmage yards.
Wow. Over CMC. I like that. That's bold. That's a bold take.
I think he
All
looks
right.
like Austin Eckler this year.
All right. So what I'm going to do here, we're going to rattle through each division, and I just want you to give me who your champ is. If you have anything to say on it, go ahead and do it. So we'll start things off with the NFC. I'm going to go to the NFC North. I am taking the Minnesota Vikings. Todd?
I'm going to take the Detroit Lions.
Aaron?
I'm going to take the Packers.
Oh, I love it. Now all we need is Bobby to take Tub Bears. All right, we're going to move east, NFC East. Aaron, who you got?
Hold on one second. Go to Todd. I'll lead the next one off.
Todd.
Take it
NFC
the Cowboys,
East.
Fellas. Take it the Cowboys.
Wow. All right, them boys. All right, Todd.
And I hate
Aaron.
Mike McCarthy. Don't forget.
Sorry, I wanted to make sure I jived with what I had before.
Yep.
Yeah, I got Eagles.
I am also going to be taking the Eagles. Let's go with the NFC South. Aaron.
NFC South, I have the Saints winning for sure. No doubt. Nobody's in the running.
I'm going with the Saints as well.
Yeah, Saints.
NFC West, taking the Niners. Todd?
Yeah, Niners. We talked about it. We stand on the same ground with San Francisco.
Aaron, I know who you're taking.
Smart Money says the Niners. I really, really like Seattle this year. I'm going to take Seattle.
Love it. Love it. All right, so let's then ask who are our wild card team? 3 wild card teams, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
Based on who my division winners are, I will go ahead and list my 3. I will take the Detroit Lions. I will take the Seattle Seahawks. I will take the Dallas Cowboys. Todd?
Yeah, I'm going to take Philadelphia. I'm going to take Philadelphia, Green Bay, Seattle.
Yeah, I'm going to take Dallas, Minnesota, and San Francisco.
So you've got the Detroit Lions,
mm-hmm.
the preseason champs, the offseason champs missing the playoffs yet again to the dismay of everyone.
You and Todd both took the under 9.5, so I don't think I'm being crazy here.
They could win 9 games and make the playoffs.
Yeah, they could.
Yeah, the 9 games, it still hits the under.
Yeah, so does 8, so does 7.
Okay, so we've got our playoff field set. Who represents the NFC in the Super Bowl? Aaron.
Philadelphia.
Todd.
San Fran.
I'm right there with you, Todd. I'm going with the San Francisco 49ers. Get back to the Super Bowl in Las Vegas. Moving on to the AFC. We're going to leave ours for the last. Let's start in the dirty South. This one's pretty easy. Aaron, who are you going to take?
Jacksonville all day, baby.
Yep.
We're all jagging off, taking the Jags to win the AFC South. And
right here?
the AFC West. Todd, who you got?
Taking KC.
Everything runs through Kansas City.
Yeah. I'm not getting bold in the AFC West.
Yeah.
I'll get bold in the NFC East, not in the AFC West.
Give me a reason. Give me a reason.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right.